What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Mint City Soccer Show. I'm one of your hosts, David Gusler. Apologies in advance because I am a little under the weather and do not sound myself, but we've got some special guests here filling in with us tonight. We still needed to keep this streak going, to keep Charlotte FC's undefeated streak going, fellas. But we've got Mr. Great headwear, great jersey. If you're watching this on Spotify, you're watching this on YouTube, Donny, aka Fatbird, is back with us this week. But Donny, how are you doing tonight, man?
It's good to be back. And listen, I don't seem to be having the problem with this collar that everyone else did. But
dude, I'm having so many issues with it. I don't know. I need to figure it out. I need to come to your house and be like, Donny, show me the ways of the collar, sir. So, but we'll cross that bridge here soon. But so we got Donny Fatbird here with us, and then old friend of the show, Mr. Reliable, Mr. Fulham himself, Matt Chantry. Matt, welcome back, man.
Thank you for having me. I can't compete with Donny's fashion. I arguably should be wearing some headwear with my hairline, but it is what it is.
You'll be fine. I put a hat on and I have no hairline, so it's fine. So, but welcome, fellas. Thanks for joining in. No Corey Ensko, no Swift tonight. Corey is battling a very difficult bowling league match. So we're recording on a Wednesday night. Unfortunately, Corey can't come, and Swift is out on vacation, approved by HR, and is out at Hilton Head area. So got some good fillers here for us, though, and we got some exciting stuff, fellas. So let's start here. I guess in the most recent run of form, Charlotte continues to just be. I don't want to say dominating, because I guess dominating is a good term for it, because we are dominating the league over the last 5-6 weeks or so. But Charlotte wins again at Bank of America Stadium against I say our arch rival, because it's not been a very good performance against this team, but walk away with a 1-0 win and 3 points at home again against New York Red Bulls. And we finally got that monkey off our back a little bit, right, fellas? So Donny, how did you feel about one, were you at the game? And then two, how'd you feel about the 3 points at home?
Yeah, we talked about this the last episode that I was on, Sunday night game. I was all out of sorts. I went with a buddy of mine. We got there later. Literally, we were walking from the parking deck down to the tailgate, and the cannons went off to let us back into the stadium. And we're like, we're going to go down anyway. But it was actually pretty cool. As we were walking to the supporters lot, Red Bulls the buses were coming in. So we actually got stopped at the gate while they came in. I might have given somebody the finger. I don't know. I'm not going to admit that other than on this episode here. But, it was a nice little start to it. But, went to the game. The supporters lot was a little quiet. I was nervous from the beginning because, Sunday night game, first day of school for the kids in North Carolina. But come away with 3 points against a team that's had our number for the last 7 games. I was really excited about that. So,
yeah, I know we talked about it in the secret show and in the previous episode. Like, we were joking around that, I don't want to say Red Bulls is a rival, but like we have some. I think we all three of us can agree we have some mutual distaste towards Red Bulls, and don't know if it's a rivalry because we had only won one game at this point. Leading up to this game, ironically, last time we won was at home against Red Bulls. But yeah, it was a weird, I don't want to say weird vibe, but weird game, because Sunday night before school goes back to session, 7 p.m. kickoff game. People like myself are definitely not going to travel very far to go to a Sunday night game before a Monday night. But Chantry, were you at the game or no?
I was at the game, yeah. And you're right about the Sunday night thing. And the main thing I remember about that was, you've seen it a few games recently. They have someone in the crowd and they'll like put them up on the big screen and they like down a beer really quickly. They did that, except the guy had a full, I can't remember if there was a cup or a bottle of water, and he downed the water. I was like, he knows he's got work the next day. He's been smart.
That's a good call out there, and it probably was still pretty warm too, because you know how those August and September games sometimes in Charlotte are still pretty warm at times too. But yeah, it's a good call out. Smart by that person for downing a 20-ounce bottle of water from that. But looking at this lineup, and fellas, it looks like it's kind of, we've got our go-to lineup now, except for one or two little tweaks here and there. Harry Toffolo made his first start in this game at left back for us. I know we're going to talk about him in a minute. Nathan Byrne moved back to his right back, more natural position. Midfield staying put with Pep Biel being out still, Westwood, Gianni, Bronico, and then you have kind of the top three of Zaha, Toklomati, and Vargas. So let's talk about Vargas first, because you've got a player here that, if you could rewind this back 8 months ago, we were all kind of saying Abada is going to be the starter. We paid this guy all this money. He scored 7-8 goals last year, getting into form, etc. And we I don't want to say wrote off Vargas, but we kind of expect him to be a rotational depth piece, right? But here we are now going into arguably the most important 6 to 8 weeks of the remainder of the season. And Vargas has been on fire a little bit, right? I mean, if you're looking at his statistics here for the season, he's gotten 5 goals and 1 assist. He's gotten a goal against New York Red Bulls, scored against Chivas, scored against Toronto, had an assist in Atlanta, scored against NYCFC. So been a busy 30 days for the guy, right? And now it seems like Dean trusts him to start consistently. So Chantry, I'll throw it over to you first, but what's your thoughts so far on Vargas and kind of, I don't want to say supplanting Abada, but what's your thoughts on that situation and Vargas stepping up?
He deserves it. Frankly, he's earned the spot. He's done what he needed to do to earn the spot, which is you control what you can control, which is your own actions in training and in games, and that's what's happened. I feel like the biggest difference between him and Abada has been decision making around the box, knowing when to shoot, knowing when to pass, and that final ball has been better than Abada's. Abada played obviously some versus Cincinnati, and there was a few times you could see like he just made the wrong decision or passed behind someone or things like that. But Vargas has been, when he gets around the box, he'll provide an assist or provide a goal, and he'll make a difference in the game. And that's really been the big difference between the two of them recently. That said, I will say Abada a few times has been interesting off the bench and useful, and certainly not played terribly off the bench. But he's frankly right now just not going to supplant Vargas. He's like cemented in the team unless he goes on a 3 or 4 game like bad run of form. Like he's going to be starting every game at this point.
Yeah, and credit to Abada, like you said, like he's come in. I think what was it, the game before this one? He came in 10 minutes, 15 minutes left in the game, and played really well. I mean, he played basically how we kind of expect a DP winger to come in and play. Granted, only 10 minutes of the game, kind of close it out, but I don't think many people would expect their DP wingers to be only playing 10 minutes, but he's done well. I think he's taken it on the chin and is, kind of continuing to work his way back. But, we talked about it last episode about these summer transfer windows, and what happens when you bring in competition is that sometimes players step up and elevate their experience. And, I think this is a perfect example of a player that is hungry and Vargas that wants to start, wants to play, had a quote unquote better player come in, and then all of a sudden he starts to play better, right? I mean, we always joked around Vargas kind of sailing kicks, but it seems like he's figured that out a little bit. He's aiming lower. He's keeping his head over the ball and seems to be putting it more on frame versus previous years, right? So, Donny, anything you'd add on the Vargas front?
Yeah, so one of the things we don't see with Vargas right now, which I think kind of speaks to the hidden, sailing it over the goal. We don't see the 15 step overs followed by firing it over the goal. And so that in and of itself, and we've said that before, every time he'd do the step over, it almost caused the shoulders to lean back a little bit. And it sailed shots. He's not doing that now. He's getting the ball, he's driving, and he's keeping it low. And obviously he's been on frame more often than not recently, which is awesome. And I just think he's just a solid defender. I think he gets back. He's a little bit more physical than Abada as well. And so, yeah, to Chantry's point, I feel like it's hard to supplant that. It's great to have Abada and his speed to come on. And Gusler, we talked about this last time. Do you spend as much money as you do for the guy to come on for 10 minutes, though, to be your highest paid on-contract player? I mean, you're going to have to, see what happens through the rest of the season. But, I just don't see Vargas relinquishing that position. He's just been way too good right now.
Yeah, you don't. Abada's obviously not deserving to start right now, and it's annoying to have a DP on the bench. However, like if we're in a playoff game, let's say we're in like the conference semifinals or something, and Abada comes off the bench and scores the winner for us, we're probably not going to care that he's a DP either. So
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And so just on the Vargas front here, and I'm going to pull this up, but, even though the summer transfer window ended last week, and we're going to talk about some of the newer players and additions we've had tonight, but this is reported by Jorge Gonzalez from Top Pen 90 and said, per source, Kerwin Vargas is being eyed by multiple teams in the Portuguese First Division. Colombian winger has had a phenomenal past few months and has generated interest from several clubs in Portugal. Yesterday in a press conference, General Manager Zoran Graneta mentioned that Charlotte FC received offers for 2 players during this window, but chose not to sell as it would weaken the team. Per a source, one of those players was Kerwin Vargas. So if you haven't checked out Top Ben, make sure you check out topben90.com. Find him on social medias, but that was something that he reported as of yesterday. So, I mean, is that a surprise to either one of you guys? I'll go to you, Donnie, first, that he's being eyed and looking at bigger and higher things here potentially.
No, I mean, I think that, what we're seeing, especially in the last 2 months, right? You want to develop the players and they get them to where they want to be in their career, where they want to be in their career. And he's definitely stepped up. I think he was a streaky shooter previously. Again, I think there was a little bit too much of the additional flash before the shots. He's just getting down to business now. And I mean, the proof's in the pudding with what he's done the last several matches. So I'm not surprised that they're calling, people are calling for him. I'm glad we're not getting rid of all of these players, as we get, closer to the playoffs and try to make a push, to try to get some hardware. But, I'm happy that he's still around and, he keeps it low for the next 3 months. We'll be in good shape.
Yeah. If you look back at when Charlotte FC signed Kerwin Vargas, and I'm trying to filibuster here just for a little bit, just to see, obviously he was a U22 designated player, was the first time, or not the first time, but he was one of our very first ever to kind of look at that perspective. He got signed to a new contract. Just it feels like yesterday, but almost a little bit over a year ago. So he's on the club salary till 2027. So, I mean, you look at it from that, that's a team friendly deal. Got a younger player that's starting to come into his own. That's a good problem to have that he has that. So Chantry, I know you were shaking your head. That's not a surprise to you, but what's your thoughts on it?
No, that teams are coming in for him. Yeah, not a surprise. And I agree also that definitely, especially where we are now with the window closed, we can't do with him what we did with Malanda, because we wouldn't be able to loan him back straight afterwards either. Like that eliminates that as an option for us. So yeah, like we can't let too many of our big players go all in one window. If the option comes up again in January and a good team comes in for him and he wants that opportunity, then just nature of the beast of MLS is probably going to be considered, and it would be easier, at least for us at that point, to work on a replacement and things like that. But where we are right now, no way in hell you can let him go. Like you're saying to him, look, Kerwin, we like you, we want to give you that opportunity at some point, but let's really explore this again in December and January. Right now, we want to win something. Stay here with us, put in those good performances, and earn a move to a big team in January.
Yeah, and I mean, selfishly, it's also going to be self-motivating to Kerwin, right? Because he wants to continue this run of form and show that he can be a consistently good player, because then teams are going to come knocking, which is only going to help his salary. It's only going to help team, etc. Granted, this is transfer market, so it's not the Bible in this situation. But it looks like his evaluation was just around $1 million when Charlotte signed him 2 years ago, right? So could this be another situation where, I'm not saying he's gonna get sold for $8 million like a Patrick Agyemang or a Adilson Malanda, but like, again, just good business scouting development here. You bring a player on potentially for $1 million, U22 designated spot. That's why the league created a position like that, to be able to get players into more player friendly contracts and younger and take shots here and there. I mean, you could sell them for $3-4 million, and that's a great move from a business perspective from the sporting side, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I wanted to just highlight Vargas here for a second here, but let's talk about the other new face that we have on the team here a little bit in this game. And so we'll talk about him, unfortunately, leaving a little early. But Harry Toffolo started his first game for the Crown against New York Red Bulls at left back. So Chantry, what'd you think about Harry's performance in this? Were you surprised? Were you happy? Were you sad? I mean, obviously, we'll talk about the injury here in a minute, but what's your thoughts on Harry in his first significant minutes for Charlotte FC?
I think it was probably about what I expected. Like could he have done some things a little bit better? Sure, and I bet he would probably say the same thing. But it's also his first appearance. He's still building chemistry with Zaha, still building chemistry with the other centre backs to the right of him. So that those things will come as he gets more minutes for sure. However, like he also did a lot of things really well. He looked useful. He did some decent link up play with Zaha. He was getting forward a lot and helping that in that position, so that when Zaha was drawing players to him, that he had more options to get to. He was getting back quickly, so we weren't short-handed on defence if Red Bull got the ball back. He didn't really make any massive mistakes defensively. He was solid, and I think he can only get better from there. Like not to bring up Matt Swift and his feelings about some of the fullbacks that we've been trying out recently, except for Nathan Byrne, obviously. He's going to be a fullback that allows us to perform better as a whole unit than some of the other players we've had to fill in at fullback. I think you could see that in that game, and I think he's only going to improve over the rest of the season as well.
Yeah, I know that was one of the things Swift kind of commented, that, you know, he wants to be able to attack and press up and open things up, but he's also going to be able to get back and be solid defensively, right? So, Donny, did you see that kind of skill set, I guess, during this game, and how much did it help against Red Bulls, at least in the first half, potentially?
So having a left-footed left back, I know Dean's been looking for that all, really, really looking for that this season. The 10th minute, there's a play where he takes the ball, drives, and just lays a pass down the line to Baronico. And we haven't had that pass. Like, if you go back and watch in the 10th minute of the game, it legitimately was a thing of beauty. It led Brandt perfectly down the sideline, and it started a break for us. And I think having that connection on the left-hand side, and then obviously with Nathan on the right-hand side, we're going to be able to play out of a press a little bit better than we've experienced so far this season. And even in the past, I feel like this was probably one of our better games against a team that loves to high press us. They really didn't get much out of it. It wasn't the typical, what we've seen in the past. And so I think he's going to bring an extra element. And yeah, it's just, Matt was saying, and I know and Swift said it when he met him initially, he knows when to get back. He knows not to get too far forward. And if he does get too far forward, he knows exactly how to get back quick enough to not be out of position. And so I think it's going to play massive dividends here, pay massive dividends here as we get into the playoffs.
In some ways, that he's got some similarities to Nathan Byrne as well. There's differences too, obviously, but like the main thing about them is they're both going to be solid defensively, and they're both going to provide ability going forward as well. Nate's a bit faster than Harry is. Harry's probably got a better final ball into the box than Nate does. But their primary two things are, hey, we're gonna work well with the rest of the defense, and we're gonna provide options going forward as well. And they both do that, and it allows us to be a lot more balanced as a team, both defensively and attacking as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him get into form and really hit the ground running a little bit for us here. Not pun intended, because of the upcoming time being missed. But unfortunately, it looks like he did go out. It was like right before the end of the half with I don't know if it was ever confirmed, but looked like a tight hamstring, something, from that perspective. I don't think it's officially come out if he's going to be out for any extended period of time. I know Dean, during the post-game press conference, said basically like, yeah, it's unfortunate. Like, we've had some bad luck there at left back this season with injuries and things like that. But Harry's a quote unquote tough guy. I remember him just kind of saying that. And, to me, that just means that, like, yeah, it could be out for a little while, but it may not be a long-term thing. Right. So I'm hoping it's a short term. Hopefully it's nothing serious, but also I hope he doesn't rush it back and then hurt it more, because that's the last thing we need is him to go out.
We're fortunate that we've got the international break as well, like both for him and for Pep.
Call.
It gives us a week where we don't have to rush people back. We can give them a bit longer, and we're not missing them playing in those games, which is great as well. But the hamstrings have been a weird one recently. Like, I don't remember us having this many in a season ever, and like it seems by far. Like, can we like rub some sage on people's hamstrings or cook a ham in the dressing room? I don't know, whatever we need to do to like undo the jinx.
Cook a ham. Is that like is that a British thing, sir? For good
No,
luck?
it's a hamstring. I don't know.
Oh, there. Okay, I get that. I like that. There we
Bad
go.
reference.
No, I like it. That's good. I actually like that. I'm going to kind of lean on that. But no, anything else you guys expect to see from Harry on this? Because I do think, part of it is going to be that chemistry with Zaha. I mean, Harry wants to be able to attack. He's shown the ability to do that from a left wing back kind of position in his time in, English Football League. But, anything you expect to see more of when he does come eventually back from injury?
I mean, I think Matt had mentioned it. I think the crosses in the box, now you're going to have them come from both sides, and you're going to have them coming from Nathan and Harry. He actually made a couple crosses in this game. And again,
I was about to say, in the first half, like there was a few nice crosses he made. Just, I'm like, oh, it didn't go down the corner and turn into nothingness, right? It actually came into the box and made a dangerous moment or two.
And statistically, those wouldn't show up on the sheets after the game because like they were good crosses into dangerous areas close to our attackers, and that's what you want to do when you cross. You cross it into a dangerous area, and you hope someone gets on the end. Someone gets on the end of it. Didn't get on the end of it, so it shows up as an unsuccessful cross. But it wasn't they weren't bad crosses; they were very good crosses. Just put enough of those in, eventually you're going to get someone heading it in the back of the net.
And get more time with your teammates, right? I mean, get more comfortable with the guys. He'll know where they're at, where they're going to be, where he's hoping, where he wants them to be. And, again, he's only been with us, a month? I know he signed probably about a month ago at this point with visas and all that stuff. I know it's only his second game, but, he's got to get a little bit of time to gel with his teammates. But yeah, if you start seeing that quality link up play coming from both sides, it's just going to make us that much more difficult.
So I'm going to get to this point here in a minute, but I'm setting the path or laying the groundwork to it here in a second. But let's talk about Toklomati a little bit. So this is a player that I think we've talked about almost every single game, every single week since he's been starting now. Continues to, I think, impress. I mean, played nearly 90 minutes this game. Chantry, what do you think about Toklomati? I know we haven't had you on the show in a little while since he's been starting. What's your thoughts on one, scouting, finding a player like this, but then him just really stepping up and being in form, being 21 years old, getting thrusted into the starting position and frankly, making it his?
Yeah. Let's cover your first point first. Like the scouting part, obviously, like was just insanely good. Like people aren't scouting the Israeli league to that level. Like it doesn't happen. You don't see those transfers happen like worldwide. They don't happen as often. Like and also it's that most of our team are players like that. Kalina, Malanda, Diani, I know he's not going to be in the team all the time. Vargas, Toklomati, obviously. Like Nathan Byrne, even I mentioned Kalina. They're not players that anyone knew before they came to Charlotte. Any of us knew, like maybe a couple of people. Archie Goodwin as well. Like we're going out and we're finding players that are hidden gems, and we're developing them and turning them into something good, great, which is exactly what you need to do to be a good team in MLS, which is just fantastic to see. And as a player, like he keeps on developing, he keeps on getting better every single week. He's adding more to his game. He's getting more involved in the build-up play. He's holding the ball up. He's not just finishing. He's doing a lot of different things. His heading ability has been, many have spoken about recently, has been excellent. Like he leaps unbelievably well for a guy of his size. He's providing assists. He provided assists to Kerwin this last weekend. He's just all round a really good player at such a young age for his position, and he's got more time to develop as well. He's going to add more things to his game. We haven't seen very many like edge of the box kind of long distance shots from him yet. That's might be something he develops over the next year or so. Like he's like he could end up being like he's got to keep doing this consistently for another year or two. He could end up being the highest player sale ever for Charlotte FC for one, and he might be well up there in terms of MLS if he keeps going like he is at his age. I think the highest right now in MLS is Almada, I guess, from Atlanta. I might be wrong there, but it's he's going to be up there, like the way he's going.
He's got a good head too on his shoulders, right? Like they were talking about it on the broadcast. I don't know if you guys rewatched, but Twellman was talking about, he takes a red card in Leagues Cup and comes right back after that and has just been on fire. So it didn't put him down. He was mentally strong. And he's consistent. Like one of the things, they talked a lot about his ability, to hold up the ball, but then he's got the speed and the physicality, which is a real deadly combination, right? With a striker, to be able to get on a long ball, but then also muscle a guy off, but not do it like, Ajman would do it, where they would call a foul on him every time. He just does just enough to get the separation with his physicality, and he's quick too. He's got an eye for the goal. I wish he would have converted there at the end of the game. We were watching it from that angle. Unfortunately, I don't think he had a line to get the ball over to Vargas personally, and we maybe will end up talking about that. But I mean, it was a hell of a shot. It was a great save by the keeper. He
had another chance as well that won't, again, is something that's not going to show up on the stat sheet, but I cannot remember who crossed it. Came in from the right and he slid across and almost got his toe on the end of it. Didn't quite reach it. That doesn't show up on shots or next year or anything like that, because he just was an inch short of getting there. There's stuff like that that's happening all the time as well. He's pressing high from the front. He's just, I can't say enough good things about him.
So there's two things I want to bring up with Toklomati with everyone here. So one, there's an article that was posted on Charlotte FC's website almost a year to the day. So this is posted August 22nd, 2024. And this was written by Caleb Adams. But it's a quick, brief interview with Thomas Schalling about Idan Toklomati. And it's funny because you look back how much things can change in a year, but then you read this and it's like, well, I mean, it's funny. The scouts knew what they were talking about, because if you look at this, it says, Thomas Schalling has been a target that they've actively tracked for years. They actually attempted to sign him back in November of 2022 and failed to do so, but they've kept interest in him ever since then. So think about that. Like, this is a player that they've had marked for nearly 3 years now before starting with this team. They wanted to come and get this in this space here, but Thomas even goes through this article. So if you go through this and read this, like, it's funny. You read this now and it's like, oh yeah, that's exactly what we're seeing. Like, say he has a unique profile. He's kind of this hybrid player. He has speed. He's with directness. He's well suited for various positions of attack. He has good movement around the box. He has instinct that's typically seen in top strikers. Like, all this stuff is all kind of praises from Thomas, right? So thank you for that parting gift, Thomas, before you left us to go to PSV. But then two, it's funny just to go back and look at this. But over the weekend, and I'm going to link this back to Vargas conversation, the team was rumored to have 2 players that got offers that they declined because it would make the team that much worse. Jorge said that one of them was Kerwin Vargas, and we were all talking in our Discord, like, who could that other player be? But Dean even came out and said, it's kind of like the Karol Swiderski quote, like in year 1, like, we are never going to sell Toklomati unless it's for a record-breaking deal or an absurd amount of money, because this kid's too valuable to us right now. Swift has said earlier in a few episodes a few weeks ago, Zoran's has always been very high on Toklomati. I do think, kind of to your point, Chantry, that this could be a record-selling player if he continues to develop and continues to be consistent, year in and year out for Charlotte FC. But anything else you guys want to kind of talk about for Toklomati here before I go to my next point here for a second? Cool. So what I would like to share here, and this is, I want to get y'all's thoughts on the roster, construction a little bit for this past summer window. And this is a little bit of from Von Stranamis. So Von Pullman joined Soccer and Coffee over this past week. And one of the things that he talked about was the moves that Charlotte made during the summer window. But also, if you look on paper, and if I'm looking at FootMob right now, looking at our starting 11, and obviously we don't have Pep Biel out there because he's hurt. But imagine Pep Biel's not hurt in this situation, right? the quality of players that we now have in our starting 11, right? He made a point that we basically have higher end English championship level team, or even some lower kind of Premier League level players, right? And it's making up a really good team on paper, and it's the team needs to get the recognition and Zoran in the front office for what they're building here, right? So like, look at your defense. Harry Toffolo played in Championship and Premier League. Tim Ream played in Championship Premier League. Adilson Malanda was a player that we just recently sold to a championship team for a record-breaking, third highest defensive player ever being sold in the league, $8 million, right? Nathan Byrne, who was on a mid to higher end at one point championship team. Ashley Westwood played in Championship and Premier League. Wilfred Zaha played in Premier League. I know Kerwin Vargas isn't moving other places, but he's been linked to some other leagues. You've got a $6 million player at wing that played for Celtic, that played for Champions, from different perspective, right? So, and was scoring goals in that league, in that team. So, if you look at that, you've got Toklomati, who is developing into being a good player, not to put pressure on him or say he's a top flight, English Premier League player or anything like that. But if you look at the majority of our roster spend and roster built, you've got Pep Biel, I'd even mention, who could be, I think, a pretty good championship level player, right? For the most part. When you look at that, like, we've got a really solid base, really solid team going into this, and it's starting to click heading into late August, early September from a playoff perspective, right? So, I mean, I just want to get your thoughts on summer window for both of you, because I know we never got the chance to finish that conversation before the summer window ended. What's your thoughts on Zoran? What's your thoughts on what they did the summer window and what we have on paper, from Vaughn's perspective? I'll go to you first, Chantry.
Yeah, a summer window, I would say, it was solid and to plan. Basically, like there's nothing that you would, the rest of the league would maybe look at in terms of the players we brought in and would say that they were flashy. But we did what we needed to do. We needed a fullback, particularly a left back, to as a starter to improve that position. We did that. We needed a backup striker, a striker's coming off the bench, so Toklomati didn't run himself ragged for 90 minutes every single week. We didn't have any other options other than Tiger Smalls. We did that as well. The Drake calendar, obviously, there's debate around whether that was worth it or not. However, I would say objectively, he's a better keeper than Bingham and Marks at this point. I think most people would agree upon. So you can say we've improved a backup goalkeeper as well. What we've got now is almost in every position around the league, around the team, we've got good / very good starters and decent backups. Couple of exceptions to that, main one being attacking midfield. I think is obviously in an ideal world, you don't play Brant Bronico as an attacking midfield. You play him next to Ashley Westwood. However, but everywhere else we're covered, and we've got really good starters, and that's what you want. That's what's going to enable you to go and challenge for MLS Cup, because injuries are going to happen. Players will go out of form. You're going to need some magic off the bench sometimes. And I think we've got a team that can do that after this window.
Anything you'd add to that, Fat Bird?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that you look at our depth now, almost feels like what our starting 11 looked like the first 2 seasons, and that's our depth pieces now. And so that's pretty exciting when you're able to, to bring that sort of talent to the pitch. And like you were saying, Chantry, they're starting to mesh. You want a team to peak at the end of the season, not at the beginning of the season. And that's what we're starting to see, with the transfers, $16 million between Patrick and Addy, and having Addison decide he's going to, stay for the rest of the season because he wants to win some hardware with the team. Like, can't ask for much more than that as far as I'm concerned. So excited to see where we go from here.
Yeah. So speaking of newer players coming in from the summer window, one of the player had a new MLS debut was Archie Goodwin. So granted, came in, subbed in 90th plus minute, was not very on the pitch for very long. So fellas, anything you want to add on Archie? What are you thinking of? What do you expect to see from him? What do you think, I guess, is fair from a production and what to see out of him over the next 2 months or so. From a backup striker coming into the league from, all the way down under. So, Fat Bird, what you think of Archie, I guess, in his debut, and what do you expect of him over the next few months?
I was disappointed. It was a Sunday night, so it was a little bit of a light crowd because I'm really looking forward to the Archie, oi, oi, oi to go throughout the entire stadium. I tried to start it. No one really knew what the hell I was doing. So that's going to have to come with a lot more people being there. But, again, I think we talked about it. So as I told you in that last episode that we were on together, we were going to be wizards and we were going to have that signing happen right after we produced that episode. And sure enough that we did. So I'd like to give us credit for that, Gusler. But I do think that, Toklomati is playing fantastic right now. He is a different type of striker. And as far as, everything that they've talked about. So, if he comes on and can give us some solid minutes at the end of games, if Toklomati is gassed, or if we're just trying to change a pace, I think it definitely is going to give us opportunities. But I expectations for the next 7 games and then the playoffs. If he just gets involved, if he can get a couple goals here or there, that'd be icing on the cake as far as I'm concerned. But I think that's going to be more of a future. Let's see what happens in 2026 with him more than anything.
Yeah. I think about it. He's coming in at the same time that Pep Biel came in last year, right? So it took him a good bit to get into form. He made some impacts here and there, but he wasn't playing at the level he was at this point of the season, right? So I think that's a fair kind of assessment. Chantry, what's your thoughts on the new mustachioed man on the roster?
Yeah, great pull in the mustache. Firstly, he definitely looks like a classic South End in Charlotte type character. I'd expect bump into that
very much so
in the bar. He absolutely looks like that. Agree totally with Donny. I think that's fair expectations for the rest of the season. This season, he wants to get a bit of time to develop, get some minutes on the pitch, build some chemistry with the rest of his team, get used to being in a completely different country than he's been in his whole life. There's a lot of change for him. But I think he's got the potential to be good. He's, from what I've seen of him, he is going to be someone that is going to be a fox in the box type finisher. I think has been mentioned on him before, and I've seen that in the highlights. I think he's going to get himself about. He's gonna chase balls down. He's going to be energetic. He's going to be like our little Australian kangaroo out there and just go after everything. I can see him being a decent player. But we've got to give him time. We shouldn't rush him. We shouldn't. If he has a bad game here and there, we shouldn't get down on him. He's young. He's going to get better. I see him actually in some ways, and I'm going to use a Fulham reference, which some people might know what I'm talking about, but not everyone. Fulham have got a striker at the moment called Rodrigo Muniz, who Fulham bought him when we were in the Championship, and he was a backup striker for us. Got him for dirt cheap from Brazil. He was very young. First few times he came on, in the first year he played, he was all over the place sometimes. He was like a little puppy sometimes, just ball of energy going around, and no real logic to his play sometimes. But he clearly had an eye for goal at that point in time. You could see it, and he clearly had the right attitude as well, and that developed over the years. And last season, he got, I think it was 10 goals last season, a lot of them off the bench. This summer, Atalanta, who are in the Champions League, were trying to buy him for £45 million. He develops. And I'm not saying that Archie Goodwin's going to become that, but I'm saying that he's a player that, although he might not have all the attributes right now, with Dean's coaching, with the time, with chemistry with his teammates, he's only going to become better, just like we've seen with Toklomati as well. He just needs to be channeled in the right direction because there's definitely ability there.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Matt Chantry confirms Archie Goodwin will be the next Fulham great striker moving forward. So yeah, I think
that whole conversation went right over here into the two of them, and I was just sitting in the middle going, yep, you got it. Sure.
So I think that's a fair assessment too. And case in point, sometimes we kind of go in these ebb and flows of players and going hot and cold. I do want to bring up one more player about the game because I think it's fair to be able to give some positive kudos because there's been times where we've not been so positive with this player. But
8.0.
8.0, Jabril Gianni, right? So if you look at this game here, he was the second highest rated player. I mean, granted, it's football, so take it with a grain of salt. But second highest rated player, he had completed 92% of his passes. He had 51 touches, 3 passes into the final third. He won all of his tackles, had a block, 3 clearances, 2 heading clearances, 2 interceptions, 6 recoveries. Duels, he won 5 of 5, 3 aerial duels, was fouled twice. So, I think it's fair to give some kudos there. But what did you guys think of Gianni's performance? I guess even over the last few weeks, because we were even talking like with Pep BL going out, who's going to be that other midfield you put out there? We always knew Bronico and West was going to be it, but was it going to be Gianni? Was it going to be Williamson? Was it going to be Petrovic? Was it going to be somebody else? Gianni's played pretty well of late. So anything you guys want to add to what Jabril's performance has been?
So I had my friend he's a fan of the club, but he hasn't get to come to that many games. And he hadn't seen much of Gianni. And I was telling him, I'm like, he's a cross between he's got Velcro on his feet with the ball and a video game glitch, and you just never know what you're going to expect from him. But I almost think it's because he's so tall, like he's 6'5", and he just glides and the ball just kind of sticks to his feet. I think he's played incredibly the last couple of weeks. He's the reason we got the red card against Cincinnati. Again, that doesn't happen if you're not 6'5" and moving the way that he does. So to me, I think he's been great. I think, he keeps this up. He's just, because he's so big, he takes up so much space that almost makes the other team struggle to think that they can get around him because he's also very fast. So, I was excited to see that 8.0. I was surprised he was, second highest to Kalina, who's just been fantastic again. But, that's kind of where I see, he's coming into his own with the club at this point.
I feel like he gets some unfair criticism around when he gets the ball, he will just like pass it sideways and not do anything incisive. But that's not what he's there to do. He isn't Pep BL. He's not Ashley Westwood. He's there to do exactly what Donny just said. He's there to win the ball. He's there to make sure that we don't lose it, and he gets it to the players that are going to create something. I feel like he's learned like what he can do and what he can't do, and he's focused on being really good at what he can do and limiting what he can't do. He's not made last year. Like the obvious example is the Orlando away. He gave away the penalty. He's not, at least recently, been making those mistakes. He's doing the little things right, and he's not making mistakes. And he's a defensive midfielder. That's what you want from that position. Like you can't expect him to go out and provide some like crazy through ball like Wilfried Zaha or Pep BL does, or score a lot of goals. He's going to do in there. He's going to do the stuff that has to be done. Isn't pretty sometimes, but you need that to win games. There's a lot of players in football in world football that do exactly that. They're going to be kind of no glitz and glamour. They're just going to get the job done in that like defensive midfield position. That's what he's done for us. Like he's been solid. He's won tackles. That's you couldn't have asked for more recently.
Absolutely. So Fat Bird, I know we were talking offline a little bit. Let's bring up the Wilfried Zaha comment you were talking about earlier before I pull up the fan Q&A, because I know it'll steer a few more questions here. But anything you want to add on Wilfried Zaha, Fat Bird, from this game, or even just in general?
By the way, you can see here, this is my Zaha kit that I finally got back, so I'm pretty excited about that. And they'll be wearing the Lightning kit, I believe, in New England this weekend, right?
Dude, I'm just realizing too, and this is a side note, you even bent over and like showed your kit and the collar stayed flat.
I'm telling you, I don't know what any... Anyways. I'm telling you, it's the people. If you button the top button, it does not work as well. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, I don't do that. But
all right,
whatever. Show me your ways, Obi-Wan Kenobi, later.
Some people don't know what to tell you. Wear the clothes rather than the clothes wear them. And Donny, unfortunately, is one of those people. David, we are not.
Great. I know. I see it. I see how it is.
I
Go ahead, Donny, with your Wilfred Zaha.
One of the things that I really appreciated in the game on Sunday, and I feel like we're seeing it more often recently, is they are definitely watching how many fouls are happening against him. Like, I think in the first 13 minutes, they'd already called 3 fouls against players defending Zaha. And I think the reason you're seeing it more recently too is he's not trying to go 1-on-2 against defenders. When he's 1-on-1 against a defender, he's going to get around them or they're going to foul him. That's the only thing that happens. It's the times where the two will converge on him and he tries to somehow sneak himself and the ball between the two guys. He loses it. They don't call the foul as often. But in this game, he got a yellow card called, against Nealis in the 22nd minute. He was just a terror. And again, 1-on-1 balls, I'm glad that they're starting to give him the credit that, they said it on the broadcast, and we've talked about it before, the most fouled player in the history of the Premier League. Like, show a little respect here in the MLS for the guy. And you're seeing it a little bit more here in the last couple of games. But I appreciate the fact that they're looking at it. They're not just, because you can go back a month and a half ago, Dean's screaming on the sidelines. No one seems to really care that he's been fouled 8 times in a game. And yet the other team, a quick 5th foul, and, all of a sudden Brandt's got a yellow card. So I'm glad that they're starting to really focus in. And that just makes us that much more dangerous because he continues to get fouled. It continues to give us set pieces. It's working the way we all hoped it would. And it's happening at the best possible moment going into September and October.
Agreed. I know we mentioned that last episode a little bit about him being fouled. So it's good to see that it seems like it's working a little bit from that perspective. So we got a few questions here I'd like to transition to, because some of it could be from Red Bull, some of it could be looking ahead. And then I've got like 1 or 2 fun questions here to us for you both. So I know Swift isn't here to answer this question, Matt Nolan, but this first one comes from, and you guys can answer from Swift's point of view, I guess. He says, with our schedule and win streak continuing, again, best in MLS, is Swift ready to reconsider his, quote, no way to finish in top 4, end quote, take? And he says, by the way, submitting this question and listening from Malaysia. So hello, Matt Nolan in Malaysia. But do you guys think, and granted, if you look at it, Donnie, we were talking offline, we are number 4 in the East right now. If you look at points per game, we're like 6th or 7th or something like that. So, we're a little behind because games like teams like Miami and NYCFC have games in hand because of Leagues Cup, which is going on right now, whatever. But do you think it's possible for us, based off our recent run of form, to finish in top 4? So, Chantry, I'll go to you first on this one.
Is it possible? Yes, for sure. Like even with the other teams having games in hand, it's absolutely possible right now, in my opinion. Are we gonna? We've won 7 games in a row. Are we gonna win out? Like, of course not. There's I would argue we might be favourites for every game left, except for possibly Miami at home, just because it's Miami and the bookmakers will have short odds for them. But there will be a slip up in there. Just law of averages. It's bound to happen. Could be this weekend against New England. Like it could be at any point. There's going to be a game that we probably lose that we'll be like, we shouldn't have lost that game. Just it's bound to happen when you've got that many games. That said, I do think we could do it. It's going to be tough. We're going to probably need to win the majority of our remaining games and have a little bit of luck. But that's possible. There's no reason why we can't do that. In theory, if we were to win out, like we could still be like up there in terms of the support shield. That's extremely unlikely. I wouldn't bet on that, of course, but we're not in a bad position at all right now. Top 4 is still possible. I'd give us maybe a 30% shot at that right now. I don't think it will happen, but that's a fighter's chance at the top 4. And I was going to add on to that as well, just about the winning run. So I wanted to mention this earlier. We are 1 game behind the record within the non-running shootout era, or whatever you call it, of MLS. Basically,
not MLS 1.0.
Yeah. since they've stopped the shootout, since the format's been as it is, there's only eight wins in a row is the record. It may have been Cincinnati. I can't remember exactly who it was. We could equal that this weekend. That's pretty amazing.
It's really amazing. I think, and even Vaughn made a comment in our thing the other day, is that we're actually own the record since the MLS lockout, like players lockout from a few years ago. So it goes back to what you said, second highest since 1.0 shootout, and then it's the highest since, like, I think 2020 or something like that, right? So it's an unheard of streak. It's a great streak, but it's not something that happens all the time. It's a great feeling for sure, especially after how we shit the bed in May and June. This is a nice rebound for us a little bit. So, Donnie, what you thought?
Well, and the team we're playing on Saturday is the team that started the shit the bed May and June here in Charlotte. Yeah. So I'd like to see a flippy floppy and get 8 in a row coming in after this weekend, because I think we deserve it. I feel like we didn't deserve to lose that game, and when I look at the schedule too, and we talked a little bit about this offline before, is top 4 possible? Sure. I mean, Cincinnati's playing Nashville this weekend. If they could, we get a draw out of that game and they only get a point and we win, we're only like 1 or 2 points behind them in second and third. The thing that's interesting about this schedule is Miami just hasn't played any soccer games in the league this year. They're 3 behind us. But if you look at their September, they've got the game tonight they're playing right now against Orlando and Leagues Cup. Their September is basically, once they come off the international break, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday. So they've got to play 6 games in September. Like, I don't care how good you are. That's just a lot of soccer to have to play back to back. And we dealt with that, I feel like, a little bit in that May, June timeframe, right? They're somewhat fortunate when you look at the, who they're playing. But, again, you can see slip ups happen within that, because I think they're the one that would be, the concern because of how many games they have in hand. But, there's always still Orlando and Columbus that are right there as well. If you look at points per game, we're all within like 100th of a point of each other. So, we just got to keep doing what we've been doing. If we can get a win this weekend, I think it's really, next game up, right? Just keep focusing it on the game at hand. And, you look at the rest of our schedule after this weekend, we only have 5 games left, and that's for the whole rest of our season. Whereas Miami's got like 6 or 7 games they have to play just in the month of September. So it's possible. I'd love to see it. Realistically, could I see maybe 5th? That's maybe where I would land at the end of the day, but anything's possible.
And by the way, with Miami, the only break they've got in all of that is the international break, in theory. However, because of the fact they're so loaded with talent in a lot of positions that are also internationals, they're not getting a break. They're like, Messi is playing tonight for them. He's going to play in the international break as well for Argentina, and there's a lot of travel involved with that. Even the break where they're not playing, a lot of their players are going to be playing. And by the way, they're losing 1-0 at home to Orlando as well right now. They're an older team. Like, they're going to run out of juice
very
as the
much
season
older
goes on,
team,
because they've got that many older players. Like, it's going to get harder and harder and harder for them. Like, look at what happened last year in the playoffs. Like, they are genuinely a better team than Atlanta were in the playoffs last year. But Atlanta beat them because Miami just ran out of juice at the end of the season. And I can very much see the same thing happening again this year.
Let's hope so. At least I hope so. So great, really good points for both of you guys here. So this next question comes from Keith. And Keith, apologies if this is not what you meant, but I just want to make sure. So he says, question, the 2 young kids called up last week, are they ready for first team minutes? So I'm assuming one of them, which I guess hasn't really been officially announced by the team, but Tom Bogert and a few other folks have announced, corresponding moves. Like Crown Legacy signed a new player, and then Charlotte FC is bringing up a player from Crown Legacy, and one of them was Koulibaly, who is a midfielder for Crown Legacy. He's 19 years old. Potentially be moving up to the first team. hasn't been officially announced yet, so nothing's positive 100% yet. But do you think he asked the question? Do you think that they could be ready for first team minutes? So, what's your thoughts on that one? There, I'll go to Fatbird first here for you.
So, aside from Koulibaly, wait, who was the other person you mentioned?
I just mentioned Koulibaly because I'm assuming the other one is the guy that we signed for like rumored $6 million. To Crown Legacy. So, but.
I mean, I don't expect to see either of them get first team minutes for the rest of this season. If that's what the question is, Keith, and if it isn't, I apologize. But I think that's just a future, chess piece. Hopefully, especially the guy you were talking about with the $6 million transfer. If we actually do get that, but I don't think either of them are expected to really be featured for the rest of the season. We've got a solid team right now. We've got depth with this team right now. I mean, you got a guy like Nikola Pekovic who still doesn't get on the pitch. You got Brandon Cambridge. There's a lot of guys that are depth pieces that I don't see, anyone coming in and taking their spots at this point. So I just don't see that happening.
What about you, Chantry?
I was going to say I haven't seen Koulibaly play much for Legacy this year. However, I'm going to steal Thomas Hughes, our good friend, wrote a little bit on him. So I'm going to just take he's seen him play a lot. So I'm going to take his words here and read them out to the rest of you. But he said he's a 6 and plays in a very similar space as Ashley Westwood on the field. I think he has looked great in controlling the midfield and pace of play, but I'm not sure he's ready to step in to get significant minutes yet. I do think he's going to be the future of the position for our team going forward, though, and I like that they're bringing him along slowly and let him develop. So pretty much basically what Donny just said as well. Like, yeah, he's extra depth, good to have. Injuries will happen, things like that, and hopefully we won't need to get down there, but we had the opportunity to bring him up now, and we've done that. And over the next year or two, hopefully he gets more minutes and becomes a starter in a year or two. So I know he's very highly rated within the club, so we'll see that. And then the other guy that we've signed on to Legacy, I know that he's been very strongly linked with a few big teams, including, I believe, Brighton, Aston Villa, and Olympique Lyon. So, like, there's clearly a player in there. Brighton especially, like, I like the fact that Brighton have been linked to him because they sign a lot of really good young players. They've got a great scouting system. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and I mean, Vaughn even made a comment, like we brought the former, developmental coach from Brighton, and he coaches Crown Legacy right now. So there's obviously a link there for that perspective. So really good call outs there for you, fellas. So last question here, and this kind of segues to the secret show that will be out here a little bit later, but it says, do you think, now this is, so let me see here. Do you think Dean will start with Marshall Ruddy again with Toffolo out? Who would you start in place of Toffolo if he is out for an extended period of time?
Bill, if he's healthy. I think, based on the injury and based on the time frame from what I've been told, this week might be the week he comes back. And if Toffolo can't go, I put Bill out there and let him go as long as he can. Kind of what we did before we got, before the Bill injury and before Toffolo came. Have Bill get as many minutes in as he can, and then bring on Ace Marshall Ruddy for the tail end of the game. If Toffolo can't go, Nathan can play left back and let Bill play right back, and then on a substitution situation, you have Jax coming into his more natural position anyway. But again, I guess we'll find out tomorrow if Toffolo can go or not. But if Toffolo is okay, like I almost wondered on Sunday, and Chantry, tell me what you think. I wondered if he was on a pitch count pretty much anyway. And yeah, I know he obviously, tightened up with the hamstring there at the end of the half, but I don't know how much more he was going to play anyway. And so, maybe you were going to get 60 minutes. So he got cut short, maybe 15. I just don't, to me, it just seemed like just the way it all kind of happened, it was okay. Well, we're going to take him out, mid a couple minutes into the second half. We'll just do it now. He definitely obviously was feeling the hamstring, but I felt like he was probably on a pitch count to begin with.
What do you think, Chantry?
Yeah, he definitely got injury. I think we'll find out, I guess, in the next day or two how bad that is. But the one thing that was interesting to me about that was that he came was that it was 2 minutes before halftime. In that situation, sometimes you see players come off the field, but then the team doesn't do the sub, and they will like see how they are during halftime. We didn't do that, which makes me think, it's definitely an injury. Like there's no we know now that he's not going to be able to come on even after halftime. Let's make the sub now and not have 2 minutes with 10 men. So I think that there's an injury in there, and we'll see how bad it is. But for this weekend, I agree with Donny. I play Bill at right back and Nathan Byrne at left back. Ultimately, when you're a fullback, your primary job is being good defensively. And at least for the starters, we need to make sure that we do that. And those two are the best choices defensively for us to not make any mistakes in this game and to hopefully nab another 1-0 to the Charlotte type victory again.
And I would be remiss if I didn't say this. Can we make this like the Nathan Byrne appreciation podcast? Because he starts the season, we're top of the table. He has an incredibly scary injury, a surgery that I know he really didn't want to have, but it was ultimately for the best for him. Goes away in the time that he's kind of having the surgery and then rehabbing that injury and coming back. We dip down, and I know Swift is excited. He shared it many times on this show. And then Nathan comes back in Leagues Cup, and then since Nathan's been back in MLS, we haven't lost a game. We've got 4 consecutive clean sheets. So what a warrior! It's like I said, it was a scary injury. I know it was a scary surgery. Just happy he's back and healthy, and doing great, and just excited for the rest of this season and the future, because I think he's got some years to come as well, and I'm just excited for him, and I'm happy he's okay.
Yeah, I know Swift will definitely agree with you, and I think a lot of Charlotte FC fans would agree with you. So shout out to Nathan Byrne for sure. Nietzsche, I'm sorry if I didn't say your name to ask that question. That was from our Discord there. So thanks for the question there for us. So I've got one fun question here before we transition to the preview secret show. So real quick, there was a pretty heated discussion in our Discord earlier, I guess the past few days. And Chantry, I don't know if you saw this or not. I don't see your response in the Discord, so maybe not. I saw Donnie's here and there. A few people. What started this was, of course, a post from Eric Hill around corn dogs, because everyone knows my infatuation with corn dogs. And it says, "Is there anything better than mustard on corn dogs?" And there, there's a clip of a guy eating a corn dog with guacamole on it, etc. Lots of conversation about mustard and ketchup and honey mustard and what have you. Fatper, sell us right now. If you're eating a corn dog, what is going to be your condiment of choice to go on said corn dog?
Standard mustard. Good old-fashioned yellow mustard.
Interesting.
Honey mustards for chicken nuggets. Ketchup. We talk. If you're giving me a full hot dog, it's going to be ketchup, mustard, and relish, unless it's a Carolina dog with chili, coleslaw, and cheese. But as far as a corn dog is concerned, just good old-fashioned yellow mustard.
Interesting. Well, I'll give my take here in a minute, but Chantry, better not be mushy peas or gravy or something like that. But what is your go-to?
I was going to say I was going to wind up the audience and say mayonnaise on a corn dog, because mayonnaise and fries is a common European thing that I like, and everyone hates me when I do that here. I'm going to say another corn dog. A corn dog on a corn dog.
A corn dog. Slice it open and stick it in there and call it a day. Yeah.
Corn dog.
It's funny. I've always been scared. I don't want to say scared. That's the wrong term. I've seen so many people eat mayonnaise with French fries, especially like you said, it's a very European thing. But I don't like mayonnaise like that anyways. And I don't know. I don't know how you would do it. But I could see it probably being okay on a corn dog, I guess. I don't know. But who knows?
It's pretty horrific for your arteries, to be honest. And it's like one of the few things that Europeans probably eat that's worse than Americans would eat. Mayonnaise is not great for you. I eat way too much mayonnaise.
So I've got two follow-up questions here, but Eric Hill put in here on that video. If you haven't got a chance to watch it yet, he says, spoiler alert, tartar sauce was the winner. So tartar sauce on a corn dog. I don't know about that one. That is because it's similar to your mayonnaise comment there, Chantry, though. Tartar sauce and mayonnaise, it's kind of similar in terms of consistency, but not flavor, though. So that was the first thing. Richard Clark actually put in here. He said honey mustard on corn dogs. I actually agree with Richard there. I use honey mustard for my corn dog. So, but I'll eat it with anything, ketchup, mustard, honey mustard. But if I had a choice, honey mustard is my go-to for my corn dog. So, but this sparked a second conversation and about some heated defense on ketchup. So do you like ketchup, I guess, first, fellas? And is it like the go-to condiment for a lot of American food, or is it like blasphemy to put ketchup on a hot dog? What's your thoughts on it first, Chantry?
Yeah, it's the easy choice in most cases. Like, simple as that. You can't. It always makes things slightly better. At least it very rarely ruins a meal. I mean,
that's true.
There's definitely some things you could put in that it would ruin, but like the traditional things that you put ketchup on, it always enhances it.
That's a good take for it. I agree with that. What do you think, Fatbird?
Well, and I will say this to the mayonnaise comment: put a little mayonnaise and ketchup together. Mix that together with a French fry. I like that one. I feel like with a special sauce from Step Brothers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I do ketchup on everything. Like, I do ketchup on eggs. I do it on burgers. I've had it on a steak. I don't prefer it on a steak. My mom does, and it usually turns the nose up on people who are working at fancy steak restaurants when she's like, I'll have some ketchup. Like, really? But, no, I mean, I eat it on everything. Like I said, a normal hot dog, I would put ketchup, mustard, and relish on it. So I have no problems with ketchup on pretty much anything. To your point, Chantry, I think it does enhance. And for me, it's got to be Heinz 57.
It's getting some harsh criticism recently. I feel like the younger generation, I feel like the grumpy old man, but the younger generation, I feel like it's like some people think it's cool to hate on ketchup these days. And I was like, no, it's good. Like, it's ketchup. Don't complain about ketchup. Everyone likes it. It's just people think it's cool to complain about at this point.
I do kind of agree with you on that one, Chantry, a little bit. But I will tell you, Russell Varner, good old Rusty, and Philip Sanford came into the defense of ketchup in there. So, they're definitely pro ketchup in that space. So, well, fellas, I appreciate you filling in here for the show. Any other final thoughts before we transition to the secret show real quick? Anything else that's on your mind from this previous game or Charlotte FC in general?
Let's get 3 more points on Saturday. At least it's a Saturday game and not a Sunday.
That's true. Yeah, it won't be weird anymore. Chantry?
I want to, just because we didn't mention him at all, I want to give a shout out to Dino, who won because we were on a bad run of form and he turned that around. And as a manager, I feel like your primary job is to, like, if you go on a losing streak, sometimes you can go down a rabbit hole into a dark place real quick. He didn't let that happen. We've turned it around, and that's him and his leadership are the big reason why that's happened, I think. And then secondly, just on a more personal note for him, I know there's been the stuff about him going back to England a couple of times recently, and it seems like there's a family thing going on there that I don't want to go into, but obviously just wish him the best, whatever's going on there, and hope that his family comes out the other side of it.
Agreed. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous that he even had to second guess that during Leagues Cup. I think it came out where he felt bad for leaving to handle something during Leagues Cup, and I'm like, dude, you should never feel bad for doing that. But hopefully, whatever he's going through there does okay. I don't know the details there, but hopefully it's all right. So, well, fellas, thanks for filling in. Appreciate it. It's always a fun time.